Hey grade 9s, I've decided to make a video on task 9.19, bearing in mind that soon you will be writing a test on your 4 journals. You have done this task, but if you found it to be slightly challenging, then listen to the video, pause it if you need to, as I will be working quite quickly, and then hopefully it'll just give you a better understanding as to the task and what to do. Right, so before we climb into task 9.19, I just want to mention that this ignores all allowances. It's a concept that you haven't been taught just yet. So we are going to ignore the 5th, the 10th, the 12th, the 14th, and the 24th transactions. So when we get there, we'll just minus it and move to the next one. Okay, so on page 137, it talks about Eric's Electronics Shop, and you are provided with the documents and additional information of the Eric's Electronics Shop for the month of October. The business is owned by Eric Elenia. The business uses a markup of 50% on cost at all times unless otherwise specified. Okay, so the markup is quite important. You might use that to work out cost of sales at some point in time. Okay, so they give you the required to do journals, and that was all that you had to do. So over the page on page 138, the following balances appeared in the general ledger. Okay, we're not concerned with that. The nominal accounts as well, we're not concerned. Point 2 says the following debtors appeared in the books on the 1st of October at the start of the month. So J. Jones owed us 4650, Shembe owed us 6100, and Govender owed us 9550. This is the start of the month, what they owed us. This must be in relation to sales that we made to them last month. Okay, so very important, and we will use this information soon. Number 3, the following creditors appeared in the books on the 1st of October. Tektronic 21,400, AMP 7840, and Soundwaves 17740. So same thing, at the start of the month, we already owed these 3 people money relating to purchases that we had made maybe last month, a month before that, and we haven't yet paid them. So we will definitely be using number 3. Right, then we go into the transactions number 4, and we are going to process all of these transactions into your 4 journals. Remember, there they are. The CRJ, it's empty at the moment, CPJ, the DJ, which you've done quite recently, and the CJ as well, all empty at this stage. So as we read through the transactions, you're going to first have to decide what journal are we dealing with. Okay, so let's start. Number 1, cash sales per CS311 to 3119 is 12,300. That's all, right? The next sentence relates to the next transaction. So we have made cash sales, so that's most definitely cash receipts journal, right? So I'm going to reveal the answer there. There it is. CS311 to 319 on the first, cash is perfect for a cash sale. You could write cash sales if you'd like. Analysis of receipts 12,300 and sales 12,300, as well as cost of sales 8,200. How would we have worked out cost of sales? We would have said 100 over 150, because 50% was our markup, times 12,300 gives you the cost price of 8,200. Notice that I have not put anything here in banks column. How come? Because we have another transaction on the first relating to money that is coming into our business. It says a debtor, G. Govender, provided a check for 5,000 Rand on account, and we gave him receipt number 82. So the first, we can write number 1, I guess, again, if you want to. G. Govender, the folio says that he is debtor's ledger number 3. Don't stress, we haven't done this yet, but his books, in our books, he's called our third debtor, right? So he's giving us 5,000 Rand. So together, the total receipts that we would go to the bank and bank would be 17,300. This 5,000 Rand also goes to debtor's control. He's a debtor who owes us money and he's paying us back. So that's why this 5 grand gets put in debtor's control column. Nothing to do with sales or cost of sales. We are done with this transaction. The next transaction, number 3, says we bought trading stock from XY suppliers for 4,900 and we gave them a check, 923. By giving them a check, it means we are buying it for cash, not on credit. So there is our entry. Number 3, XY suppliers, 4,900 bank and trading stock, because we have bought trading stock. Number 4, sold goods on credit to J. Jones, 2760, invoice 103, and Sembe, 7,200, invoice 104. Because we are selling on credit and giving them an invoice, the debtor's journal is what is used here. So 2 lines here to record both of these sales, Jones and Shembe. There's their invoice numbers. Debtors ledger 1, debtors ledger 2, don't worry about that just yet, but those are their numbers in our books. Sales and cost of sales are given there. Remember, we were given the selling price and we would have had to work out the cost of sales by using the markup of 50%, right? So that's how we would have worked out the cost of sales figures. Right, we then ignored the fifth, moving on to the sixth, cashed a check to pay wages of 1,250. We cashed a check. So therefore CPJ is what we're going to use. Check number 924, we just continue with the numeric sequence. Cash 1250 for bank, 1250 for S&W or salaries and wages. On the 8th, we received the following invoices. So if we are receiving an invoice, it means we are buying on credit. So the creditor's journal is going to be used here. Firstly, invoice 7345 was for Tektronic Limited for stock 8,800 and equipment 6,000 Rand. So in total, we have bought 14,800 Rands worth on credit from Tectonic. So that's where the total goes. Then we split it up. 8,800 Rand was for trading stock and 6,000 Rand was for equipment. Then the next bullet point says also invoice 505 was from Soundwave CC. It was for stock 9450 and an iPod for the owner's son 2,700. So once again, the total goes to creditors control. Trading stock get 9450, but for the iPod for the owner's son, that 2,700 Rand goes to sundry and its drawings, right? It's got nothing to do with the business. It goes to the drawings account because it's the owner's personal stuff. On the 9th, paid Telkom for telephone expenses 1130 and Tshwane Municipality for water and electricity 920. Because we are paying them, it goes back to the CPJ. We are paying two separate things, so it's two lines there. There it is, check number 925 and 926, Telkom and Tshwane Municipality. There's the amounts, and both of them go to sundry as telephone and water and electricity. Please do not write little stories here. We just need the accounts that are affected here. So simply telephone or telephones, I guess, and water and electricity. Moving to number 10, we ignore number 10. Number 11, sold goods on credit to the following. Right, so if we are selling goods on credit, once again, debtor's journal is going to be used. There are three sales that are happening here. Firstly, to Governor, then Jones, then Shembe. We are given the selling prices of these three sales. So to work out the cost prices, once again, you'd have to use the markup formula to work out the cost of sales, right? Our invoice numbers just continues numerically. Number 12, we ignored. Number 13, received invoice 841 from AMP Wholesalers, right? We are receiving an invoice. That means creditors journal. We are buying. There is our invoice number, the 13th from AMP Wholesalers. It tells us that it's stock 5100. That's equipment 700 and stationery and sundry 440. So the total then is 6240 in creditors control column. It also says that cashed a check to pay the usual wages 1250 and to increase the cash float by 1,000 Rand. Right, so if we are now giving a check to our workers for salaries, we have got that earlier, so I can just reveal that line over there. Cash. Okay, we can combine it into one line. Let's read carefully. We've paid or cashed one check. That's why we can't really use two separate lines. The first line is the line says check number 927, cash the combined 2250, 1250 being for salaries and wages, and 1,000 in sundry for cash float. Remember, cash float is an asset. It talks about the money we have in our till to give change with. Right. Then we skip number 14. Number 15 says cash sales per CS, cash slip, 320 to 331 was 67500. So back up to the CRJ, we're going to have another sale to process like so. Okay. Once again, to work out the cost of sales, you would have used your markup. We don't put a figure in bank just yet because there's more cash that we received on this day. Also, received rent from the tenant, M. Morris, for 9,000, right? So in our next row, we can say, there we go, M. Morris, receipt 83, 9,000, and in sundry, rent income. Also, J. Jones settled his account to date by providing a check. Notice that there's no amount mentioned in this transaction, so we got to do a bit of work here. For now, we can say receipt number 84 and J. Jones, but this amount that he's paying us, we need to do some work. We need to find out how much did he owe us on the 15th, right? Or by the 15th. So I've got a little calculation down at the bottom here, which I'm going to use. At the start of the month, by looking at point of the information number 2, it told us that J. Jones owed us 4650 at the start of the month. Also, on the 4th, it said that we sold goods on credit to J. Jones for 2760. Right? We did that in our debtors journal. So in total now, he owes us just over 7 grand. Then also on the 11th, we sold another 9,600 rand to him. So at this stage, he owes us how much? 17,010 rand. So the amount that comes in here for the amount he's paying us is 17,010 rand. Okay, that will go to the debtors control column as well because he's paying off his account, and the total of these three will go to bank over there, 93,510, and we go bank it together at the end of that day. Okay, so that's a bit tricky. Please focus carefully, see if you understand that. Then on the 18th, paid 10,000 Rand on account to Tektronic Limited and 5,500 Rand to Soundwave CC. So we are paying off our debt a little bit, not maybe entirely, with checks. So there are going to be two lines here because they're two separate checks. Tektronic, 10,000 Rand to Creditors Control, and Soundwave's got 5,500 also to Creditors Control. Okay, so we are partly paying off the amounts that we owe those two creditors. On the 20th, cashed a check to pay the wages with an 8% increase for the 3 wage earners. Okay, so earlier on in the CPJ over here, there was a 1250 and there was a 1250 over here. So now when we get to the 20th, it's still cash, but it's going to be 8% more than 1,250. So 1,350 is going to be the amount. How did we get 1,350? You could say 1250 times by 8%, right? And then you're going to add it on to the 1250 to get us the new wages amount for the week of 1350. Okay. Then we move to 21st. J. Jones bought goods on credit, right, from us. The normal selling price was 4,200, but Eric gave him a price reduction or a trade discount of 15%. Right, so a little bit to think about here. There's the debtors journal because we are selling on credit the 21st and we're selling to J. Jones. So now instead of selling to him for 4,200, we are selling to him for 85% of 4,200. In other words, we're going to reduce it by 15%. So you could times it by 15% and subtract it, and there is your correct sales price that you sold it to him for. To get the cost price, you would use the markup once again of 50% to get the cost of sales. At this stage, your debtors journal is finished and you could total it up. Right, we are number 22 now. Bought stock on credit from Soundwave CC per invoice 594 for 7,600. So the creditors journal, once again, simple entry. We put it in there. It's trading stock. So that's all. The 23rd says bought stock by check. So by check implies we're going to the CPJ from XY. Where am I? From XY suppliers. The normal selling price was 5,600, but XY suppliers were holding a discounted cash sale, less 20% off the normal price. Right, so here's our CPJ, just to move down a bit. We are buying it from XY suppliers there on the 23rd. It's not going to be 5,600. If you take away 20%, it's 4,480. We are buying stock. So where's my stock column? It's this column here. And there is the purchase, and there is the line done. We do not need to process the discount. It's their problem to process, not ours. Okay, so we only just processed 4,480, and that's all. We skip number 24. 25. S. Shembe settled half his account, while Governor paid 4,000 Rand on his account. Okay, so we're receiving money now from two debtors. So the easy one to process is the 4,000 Rand that we received from Governor, right? I'm just going to hide this figure for now. But this line here is a little bit of work as well. So how do we work out this amount that Shembe is paying us? Right, it all comes down to how much Shembe owed us on the 25th. So let's go work out using a calculation. So at the start of the month, Shembe owed us 6,100. Where did I get this from? From number 2 on the previous page. Then that we also see Shembe mentioned on the 4th when we sold 7,200 Rand to them, right? And we also see Shembe mentioned on the, where else do we see Shembe? There's another sale that we did on the 11th of 5,400. There we go. So at this stage, Shembe owes us some money, right? But now we divide it by 2. That's how much Shembe owes us. What is it, about 18, 19,000-ish? And we divide it by 2 because they're going to pay us half. So that means Shembe is paying us 9,350. So in total, we are receiving 13,350 for the day. So we combine those and put them under bank as 13,350. We are number 27, cashed a check to pay the wages. Note that one of the 3 wage earners was on unpaid leave for the week. Okay, so also a little adjustment here to think about. Check, there we go, cash, all is fine there. The previous check that we gave for wages was 1350. That was for 3 people. So now if we are only paying 2 people, how are we going to work out the value of this amount in our check? We are going to say what? 1350 divided by 3, because there were 3 people, equals 450 each, and now only times by 2, because only 2 people are being paid. There's 900, and we put it to the salaries and wages column, and we're done with the 27th. On the 28th, repairs to the vehicle were done on credit by Pretoria Motors, 2,200, and invoice 4,007 was given. Okay, so we have once again bought something on credit. So CJ, there it is, Pretoria Motors CL4. They're the 4th creditor of ours, but don't worry. 2,200 under creditors control. And because it's not trading stock or equipment, it goes to sundry and it's 2,200 and we can call it vehicle expenses. That means that our creditors journal is done, so we can total our columns. Moving on to number 29, settle the account of AMP wholesalers in full by issuing a check. So once again, we are not given the value of this check. How much do we owe AMP wholesalers on this date, the 29th? That's what we're going to have to work out. We're not sure. So we need to go find out whenever AMP were mentioned. So we started the year owing AMP 7,840, and on the, where is it? On the 13th, we bought another 6,240 Rand from them on credit. So that means we owe them at the moment 14,080. We are paying them in full, so it can be put there in our bank column, and it's going to be put in creditors control column as well. We have now settled them, their account. We owe them nothing. On the 30th, paid salary to the shop assistant, E. Edgar, 21,000. Easy. CPJ, 21,000, and we can put it also to salaries and wages. And then we move to the last one, number 31. The bank statement from Cape Bank reflected the following. Okay, remember the bank statement is the bank's eyes, and they're telling us what they have done to our account. The first one says that a direct transfer for 52,300 to cover the loan repayment of 50,000 and interest on loan. Right. So in this case, we are paying money here. We are paying money that we had not remembered maybe, and that means it's left our bank account. So CPJ is the journal, bank statement is our source doc, 31, Cape Bank, because that's who we are paying, and we're going to write it twice, 50,000 for the actual loan and 2,330 for the interest. There's no special column for these amounts, so we go to sundry, 50,000 for the loan with Cape Bank, and this 2,300 for interest on loan. The next one, bank charges of 1,440. We are also paying money here, so CPJ, so bank statement again, 31, Cape Bank, and the bank charges was 1,440. It doesn't have a special column, so it goes to sundry, and it's called bank charges. We're done with the CPJ, so we can total the CPJ. And the last part of this transaction says interest of 370 Rand on the favorable bank account balance. So we are earning money here for having money in our bank. So we go up to the CRJ because we're receiving money. It's the last entry here, bank statement 31. The details is Cape Bank, the name of our bank. Analysis of receipts, we do not put a figure in here because we are not receiving this in cash. It's going straight to our bank account. So bank gets 370, we put it to sundry as 370, and we write interest income. We could also say interest on current account maybe, or interest on bank account if you want, but the simplest is just to say interest income. We can now total all our columns for the CRJ. Remember, we never total analysis of receipts, and we have then completed our transactions for task 9.19. I hope this video assists you if you had some difficulties. All the best for your test coming up on the 4 journals. Please ask your teachers if you have any questions. And possibly I'll make a few more videos in the near future.